Hi, this your girl Shanita T with Network to Net Worth by Shanita T. I am here with Chef Manning. She now currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. But I see you have your products in the background. Hey, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Miss Isin.
All right. So obviously, I'm a traveler. I grew up traveling different continents. My father was an ambassador to for my country for the United States. So we came here when I was real young, around 7. Lived in D.C. And then after that, it was Europe and different other countries. Went back home, came back here for college, and have never left since. Now, by here, I mean came back to the States because I was in D.C. and Houston, Texas. And then right now, this is where I reside, and this is where the business was birthed.
So what makes you
Let
want
me
to
see.
reside here in Georgia?
To be honest, real estate I couldn't afford in California. See how it goes. I couldn't afford anything in California, and I was like, okay. And I had already I had sold my life because I wanted to do missionary work. So my journey started with education, I guess. Went to school to be a teacher, got my credentials, and what I thought was going to happen was I was going to live in Asia and help kids who needed education and who had been sex trafficked. And
Wow.
that was the initial plan. The reality of that kind of threw me into a tailspin. What you see when you go into the countries that are flooded with areas of being of the red light district and sex trafficking is that you experience, at that time I was a single woman, so you experience a whole bunch of men come in for the purposes of only sex. And I didn't realize that would take a toll on me, as in, this is what I'm seeing. I'm beginning to not like men because of this reason. And I was like, okay, this is not a safe space for me to be anymore. I need to just unplug. I can't do this effectively and love people. So it was either go back to California and not afford to buy a place, or I moved here where I had a best friend here, and I was like, you know what, I can afford a place in Atlanta, and it's warm, it's beautiful, we love the culture, we love the people, so I've been in Atlanta since.
So
Okay.
tell us who you are beyond your business.
So who I am beyond my business, I think I'm a journeyer at heart. I love to experience new things, new flavors, new people. I think that's why I like farmers markets and festivals. I get to interact with people and hear a piece of their story. And I love that in my business. I think it transcends with everything I've ever done. When I was a teacher, I got to impact kids in that area. I think the very first job I had, which was actual science, so it's like statistical analysis, I have the brain for it, but I don't have the personality for it, because really you're just on the computer, you're crunching numbers, very little human interaction. And I was like, oh, the pay is great, but this is not my happy space. So I think I'm a lover of people. I'm a lover of food. I love to travel. And so this kind of encompasses, this business encompasses all of who I am. So I do enjoy what I do.
Definitely, the olive oil is around the country, around the world,
Hmm.
and yeah, we call you a traveler. You're a traveler.
I am a traveler. I
Yeah.
am a traveler.
So ultimately, I hear you talk about you were a teacher
Hmm.
and you served as what it was again,
A
the
missionary.
missionary, right? So you
Hmm.
served in ministry. So in ministry, and then you got a teacher. Where was olive oil, or where was the idea of your business birthed?
All right. So what happened was, okay, let's start with teaching. I taught with APS. I've always been in the inner city because that's where the need was. But that's where the exhaustion came, because with I taught math, and with teaching math, you are the subject that people have to pass. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. So in school early, staying after school late, tutoring, all the things to make sure my kids are successful. I was burnt out. And so my sister, my oldest sister, was like, why don't you just take some time and do something that you love? And
Mm.
I was like, huh, what do I love? I was like, I guess I like cooking. She was like, I'm surprised you never did anything with cooking, because she reminded me that my dad, my dad had passed. Maybe he's been gone for over 30 years now, but she reminded me that anytime he would come to visit, because I lived away from home, he was excited to come visit because he knew his daughter was going to cook. So she reminded me of that feeling, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go. I'll still work. I'll still do teaching, but I'm gonna go take some culinary classes. So I went to Le Cordon Bleu. It used to be open in Tucker, and did the whole program, and just fell in love with it.
Oh
After
wow.
you, after you finish the program in Le Cordon Bleu, they require that you do 3 months of an internship somewhere, and on a teacher schedule that wasn't going to work out. So I was like, let me just take the whole year off and let me travel. Let me go somewhere outside of the country. So I did. I applied, got into the Ritz Carlton in Thailand, so
Oh,
in
wow.
Asia, and Abu Dhabi, which is in the Middle East,
Crackhead.
and had that. Yes. Had that experience, came on back. I worked for the Ritz Carlton in Buckhead until it closed down. And then from there, I started to private chef. So this was something that birthed out of the personal chefing. And I was like, okay, one of the things I wanted to do was introduce turmeric to people's cooking, because I was like, there's so many benefits of turmeric, and the
Mm-hmm.
powder tastes like crap. I'm like, so people don't usually use it because it's really astringent. So I was like, I'm gonna infuse the root of turmeric into the oil. That way the health benefits are there. So everything in my oil is fresh. There are health benefits to it, and from there comes, it makes your food great. So I get to create a healthy table, so to speak. I get to create moments where people get together and they enjoy something, but it's also good for their bodies. So
Man, I love
it was a
stuff like
win-win.
that.
Yeah.
I definitely am the person who, tries to grab all the healthy stuff off the shelf. So
Uh-huh.
definitely grabbing some of your oils and herbs off the shelf.
Yes.
So every successful entrepreneur has faced obstacles. What has been one of your biggest challenges?
So I'm going to go back a little bit because I realized I didn't tell you how so this came out of private chefing. I had made a whole batch, and I usually only served it with steak, right? And so, like just before COVID, me and my now husband were taking a road trip, and he was like, "Oh wow, you can put this on everything." And I was like, "You know what? Maybe I should bottle it. Maybe I should do something there." And here comes COVID. I don't want to call it the blessing because people lost families, but it shut down everything, whereby it was like, okay, I have time now. I can't say I don't have time to figure out marketing, figure out labeling, figure out the direction it's going to go. And so it's in that period that this business was birthed. Um,
Every business has went through some obstacles. What has been one of your
Obstacles.
biggest
I
challenges?
was I was birthed in COVID. I'm like I don't even think I've ever thought to myself, has I've never been in a situation where the economy was good. I'm like, we went from COVID to different
A
presidents,
depression? Hmm.
and we have declined and declined and further declined. And so to navigate in that space, especially since I'm not a necessity, I'm a luxury item. I mean, you don't have to use olive oil. You can use the department store olive oil, or grocery store olive oil, and you don't need to buy $20 worth of a small bottle of olive oil. I'm obviously a luxury item, so navigating that space was the challenge. Um, so I'll say, like, a recent challenge was tariffs. Just before, shortly after November of 20, I guess it was 2024, I decided to I was like, okay, this is the year. Let's make some cuts. Let's trim the fat, so to speak, because you understand what tariffs are going to do. You understand how that's going to change how people are spending their money. So you adjust. You trim fat. You move with whatever's going on. You put your energy towards the social economic group that can afford to have your product. And So you have to understand the times as a business person and move accordingly. Because you can't do the same thing all the time because every season requires something different.
I'm definitely in agreement with, as a business owner, you can't be in a complacent space.
Yes.
How God works. I'm very spiritual, so you're gonna hear me talk
Mm-hmm.
about God a lot. But how God works is He doesn't want us in complacency, right?
Yes.
He's always pushing us to grow, to evolve, to change. He's always changing our environment. One
Mm-hmm.
thing I was going to say about COVID though is over 300,000 businesses were birthed during COVID. And
Yes.
when I'm talking to different business owners, a lot of the business owners that I'm talking to, I'm gonna say 90 out of the 100,
Mm-hmm.
they're saying that their business was birthed during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I learned in that era was that we had to learn how to put ourselves out there without
Yes.
putting ourselves out there. Um,
Correct.
and so definitely, and you stated that you're not a hot commodity, but you are, because a lot of people were became hyper aware as far as their health and protecting their health
Mm.
and being unvaccinated and being vaccinated, and so we had to learn a lot about ourselves and our genetics and what we was going to put in our bodies and what we wasn't going to put in our bodies. So I think you came out at the perfect time because, like you said, it's a health benefit to it, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think because of that reason alone, people are willing to pay the $20 for that for your oil.
Yeah. But if you and that's absolutely true. Also, what happened was I think when you're birthed in a place of tension or fire or whatever, that's the triad, right? That's the gold.
Right.
That's the diamond. Because I remember the very first market I did. It was only 8 vendors. We were all 6 feet apart. We were all masked. They limited the number of people that were coming into the room. It was in a church. And that was the first market I ever did. And it was like, okay, how do I give samples? Because you won't know my thins are any different from anybody else's unless you taste it, right? So I said, how do I give samples in a way that people feel safe? So things like food safety, consistency, knowing my product, knowing, making people feel at ease. Those things were birthed in that moment. So now that I'm in festivals or whatever, I know how to navigate whichever, wherever headspace you are. Some people they're open about wanting to try something. Some people are more conservative in regards to please make sure it's sanitized and it's in a container and I don't want to get sick. And so I know how to move in those different spaces and make sure I adapt myself to the customer.
So just going a little bit deeper into your startup, would you say, because most people who are getting into entrepreneurship, they are afraid of it being, the cost being a lot starting up,
Okay.
right? So when you started your business, what did that look like for you? Were you working and trying to fund your business, or how did that look for you?
I was working and trying to fund the business. So everything that I was making went back to the business for a long period of time. So I think the past 2 years, I'm now completely only business. I'm no longer substituting. I'm no longer part-time teaching. I'm no longer doing any of those things. But at the time, I was holding on to that until I could pivot. Because you have to be, you know, you don't want to jump ahead. You want to make sure you've created a following. You've created some kind of brand loyalty before you just completely jump off the building. And take time to build it. Take time to make sure that people are responding positively to your product. And sometimes you have to figure out what works. I remember one market I did. It was a Juneteenth market. I think it was the first Juneteenth. So what is that? When did we get to celebrate that? That was like 3 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, I was like, I got very positive feedback, but I noticed that this wasn't my client base. This was
Mm-hmm.
my support base. As in, our
Mm-hmm.
people will always support our people, but this was not their flavor palette. This was not their base. So you have to find out where is your niche, where's the people who would like your product,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you take up shop. Don't just take your time to feel it out and figure out. Give yourself grace, I think, is the problem. We don't do that. We think, oh, this is how it's going to work, and if it doesn't work, we're going to throw away the baby and the bathwater and the whole tub. Don't do that. Take some time to, travel on the winding road and figure out what really works for your business and where are your people.
Right. So if there was a starting point and someone who has a product and they're wanting to put it out there, and being that you've experienced and you kind of know some of the do's and the don'ts, what would you suggest as a rising entrepreneur? Where should they start?
So it depends on it does depend on the product. So I have a lot of entrepreneurial friends who maybe they sell juice, maybe they sell skincare products, and so their seasons and their clients are different from mine, right? So I would say if you're entering into a world whereby you can start at a farmer's market, figure out where your people are. So if it's something that is catered towards the African American palate, then be in those spaces. If it's something that's a little bit more international, then put yourself in the spaces of Alpharetta and so on. So you have it depends on what your product is. It's not a one size fits all. Start small, figure out that, maybe start with your church, have your friends help you out, have family help you out, because nobody wants, hopefully you have friends and family that want you to win. So do that and just take one step at a time. One step at a time, and be consistent with your product. If you know that this thing, if you can put your name on, if you've put your name on it and you're like, I swear by my product, do the love work to get to where you need to be. Because it's a journey,
That makes sense. So, was there a defining moment that completely changed the way you think about business or your life?
So the defining moment, I think, for me, it was working for the Ritz-Carlton. So it was even before the business. What the Ritz-Carlton did, as far as me being in the culinary world, is it told me that customer service is the most important thing. And it also tells you who you are, right? So one of the mottos of the Ritz-Carlton is that we, the people who serve, are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. So we are the same as the people we're serving, even though these people are probably super rich, because, you can't just afford the Ritz-Carlton on a small paycheck. But knowing who you are, that built my confidence in that, okay, I am the person that can be in the room, and I'm going to bring the level of excellence I need to for the people I want to serve. So, for instance, I know I'm kind of getting there. I remember sometime last year, an order went wrong. I asked the lady, I said, hey, can I drive it over to you? She lived an hour and a half away from me. And it wasn't anything of my own fault. I had sent her 6 jars of something. I was never going to retrieve that money back, but I had been taught to make it right. If you make it right with somebody, the small losses, don't worry about that, because you want to build loyalty. You want to build people who come back for your product. And so she was like, you know what, do you teach customer service? Because I feel as if you should be teaching customer service corporately. So I think Ritz-Carlton helped shape that, and I would say that's what's helped with my business, because it doesn't matter where I am, what I do, I'm bringing that level of integrity. This weekend I had a customer she came from Chattanooga to Alpharetta because she hadn't seen me in a while. And she was like, I came to get some product. So I have enough loyalty and I swear by my product, or the excellence of my product, whereby people will travel to come get it. I had another in that same market. I had a young lady come forth with her mom, and she was like, "We're stocking up because she's moving to Australia for school, and she wants to make sure she takes this with her." I'm like, so be about your product. Be about the.
Once you build that trust, people are gonna refer you. They're gonna shop with you. But like you said, you have to set a standard, and you have to be consistent. And that consistency builds that trust, and that trust builds that that overflow, right?
Mm-hmm. And don't be if somebody gives you negative, or negative feedback. I don't want to use the word negative because feedback is for you to grow from. So it doesn't matter how it comes. If somebody gives it to you, take it. Because if one day your product is off, apologize it, get it back to where it was, give them something free to make them know that, hey, it is very important for me that you enjoy my product the way it was intended. Don't just be like, oh, whatever. Or don't just cast people off. These are the people that you want to buy into what you're selling. So don't ever diminish who you're selling to. It's customer service is your product and customer service. Those are the things that will make you last for the long haul. Because my product takes a long time to make. There are no shortcuts, and that's one of the reasons I haven't blown up, so to speak, and gone the grocery store route or whatever, because I would have to do things differently and not use fresh products and all the other things. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm okay with being small. I'm okay with being impactful where I am and bringing the excellence to what I'm doing. And that way just let everything else fall to the wayside. I think we want to be big so quickly that we do shortcuts, and there's no lasting power in that at all. And that's
that kind of
unfortunate.
takes me back to last week's conversation where we was talking about the hustle mindset versus the business mindset. Like you stated, you could go this route, but you're not after every dollar, which is the hustle mindset.
Yeah.
Hustle mindset, you trying to get every dollar that comes your way, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. Versus the business mindset, you're like, no, I have a standard. I know what I can do. I know what I want to do, and I know what I'm not gonna do. And you keep the brand consistent to where you, like you say, you set that tone. You built up that trust to where you got people referring you and coming back for more. And that's the one thing that we lack in the Black community, which hence why I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Is because I got into marketing and I'm like, I could solely focus on myself, but ultimately it's not going to be beneficial because people around, even if I focus on myself and I just, change the financial foundation for my family, other people's children could influence my children, and everything that I built kind of would go out the window. So I said, well, okay, God, and I've always had this mentality ever since I was a kid. If don't nobody else do it, let me be the one who do it.
Yes.
Let me lead by example. Let me show what can be done. Because we have a lot of people who's talking, but nobody is really just doing. And so this is why this podcast is here, to influence. Not to just influence, but empower and encourage more entrepreneurs. But learn. Go out, share your testimony. That's what he said, right? Go out, share your testimony. So that learn from people's mistakes so that we can become better.
I would say do the small, sometimes we get so overwhelmed by where we want to be that we're not even really in the journey. We're like, oh, I want to be in a big name store or whatever the case is, and you're just all wrapped in that, and then you have paralysis because of your dreams being too big. Do the small thing first. What can you do? You can make sure that, did you pick the right name for the product? Did you ask people from various social economic groups, not just your friends, because sometimes your friends are all in the same boat as you. Hey, what do you think about this label? What do you think about this bottle? Choose the right things ahead of time before you launch. And then so that way you're secure about that. You're like, okay, because depending on what you choose, that tells you where you're going to go. If you choose something cheap and cheap looking, then you're only going to attract the people who are going to gravitate towards that package. So you have to do the work slowly and be purposeful in where you want to be. Who do you want to serve? If you want to serve Black people, what do Black people like? If you want to serve rich people, what do rich people like? I mean, do the work. What do they like things to look like? And cater. Don't be like, oh, it's me, it's my voice. No, there's a clientele that you want to be attracted to your product and the packaging of your product. What do they like? Do the research.
What advice would you give someone if they were stuck or afraid to take the next step? And so basically, to summarize it, you're saying, hey, do the research.
Do the
Make sure
research.
you're
Yes.
doing your back office work first before you just take a leap out there.
Yes.
Don't just have an idea and I was young like that, have an idea and just take off running. Somebody tell me something and I'm like, oh, okay, take off running with it. Up until most recently, I realized, hey, although I am capable, doesn't mean that I have to be that person who does everything.
Yes.
We are not designed to do everything.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to business. So you have to learn how to delegate tasks. The major thing people say is, oh, well, I can't afford it. Well, now we have AI. Now we have things that, we can create bots and stuff to kind of fill in that void.
That part.
It's cheaper than hiring a person, but there's no excuse at this point. No excuse.
No, and if your business is God breathed, then God has already put people around you that have the gifting that you need, right? So I'll be honest. There was a lady that did spoken word in my church, and I asked her. I said, "Hey, what do you think about?" And she did graphics. So I said, "What do you think about helping me figure out a name for this product? Since you are a wordsmith, right?" I was like, "What do you think about doing that?" I was like, "This is what I wanted to convey. This is what I wanted to do." And she was the one that came up with the name, right? And so, and then she helped me out with the graphics. There was somebody else that helped, a friend of mine that helped me with the baseline of the website, right? So God has a way of already putting in your network. If it's not your immediate friends, they know somebody. And if you're not fortunate enough whereby you think your friends have what you need, then do what we did, right? We joined a network group, Lead to Taste. Do something like that. Because people want to help you. I think we think people are out to get us, but especially black women. Black women want to see you win. And they will give you what you need for free, if that makes sense. You
just gotta put yourself in the right room, because there are groups of women that you can tie yourself to that don't want to see you succeed. So just gotta have discernment. But anything that God is involved in, He will lead you. You just gotta ask to be led, and you can't. And that was one of the things I learned when I originally started this in marketing is. We have the ability to birth a business, but sometimes during the birthing process, there's like, as a parent, when you have the kid, some people feel like I should automatically know what to do next, and you don't consult with God, and you don't, so you just take off running, and you don't give yourself time to actually figure it out, and that's why it's doomed, because you're just running, right?
Yeah.
So. Are you ready to go a little deeper?
Yes, let's do it.
What's one business lesson you've learned the hard way that every entrepreneur should know?
Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small things. Just be a blessing. If you are a blessing, there's no way that you won't succeed. Do your business like you would do your ministry. Do your business like it is your baby. Don't be callous about it. I'm trying to see how the big lesson came to, because I think there's so many things I got to avoid because of what was already placed inside of me, whether it's the culinary instruction, whether it was customer service. So I think that there was the big lesson, things are going to change, right? I mean, here we go. Tariffs, shortages, the economy, COVID. Don't be stuck. Don't be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to quit. This stuff is too hard. If you have a good product and your people have told you you've gotten great feedback, this thing is gold, whatever you have is needed or wanted or would be appreciated on this earth to the community that you have been sent to serve, then just continue to move forward. Don't quit. Because I think a lot of us just quit when it gets hard. If you have to pull back a little bit and maybe get a side gig so you make ends meet, then do that. But be movable. This year, what did I do because of tariffs? I ranked all the places I used to go to, because I have like a lot of farmers markets. I do Grant Park, Alpharetta, Marietta, Smyrna, Sonoa, Peachtree Road, Peachtree City. I was in multiple places, and this is not even talking about the festivals. And what I did is that, okay, tariffs are going to come. I can't be everywhere, and I can't be paying a whole bunch of people who don't sell the product as good as I do, right? Because you're the person that's really going to sell your product. I was like, let's make some cuts. Let's trim the fat so we can make more profit in the places that really bring back the buck. So you have to be movable. You have to see what's working for your business. You have to be okay with severing ties if you need to.
Right. I've had to do that a couple
I
times.
I remember that Smyrna was my first market because I used to live in Smyrna, and I'm emotionally connected to Smyrna. But I realized at some point that it wasn't making me enough money in regards to my sale averages in, say, Alpharetta. So I was like, I have to remove the emotion, and I have to be where I have to make a business decision. So it's being pliable, it's being movable, and to make some hard decisions, not hard decisions, but money decisions that, like, okay, let's go in this direction because this is what the times are needed in your journey as a business owner.
That was great info. What is one common misconception people have in your industry that you would like to change?
I think people think that when they go to farmers markets or festivals, they think that the brands in Kroger are better. They think that your business or your product is subpar because it's not in a building, a brick and mortar. And I found with every single vendor I know, every single business owner, they put a lot of, because this is their project baby, right? So they put more love into this thing. They make sure they're using the best ingredients. They go organic. They travel to get their product. They make sure they're giving you the very best of themselves. So yes, is it a little bit more expensive? Absolutely. But is it a phenomenal product? Absolutely. I think people think that because Susie Sue is doing it, and it's not coming from Publix or whatever the case is in regards to food, that it must not be that great. And I think people discount other people and their dreams, and I think that's a mistake. What you have to bring is extremely important, and it's a good value. Put
Right.
Make sure what you've priced it shows the value of what you put into it. Don't lowball yourself. You are of worth. The dream that God has given you, the gifting, all of that is of worth.
I'm just now learning that I had to hire a business coach in order for me to change my mindset. I am very much a giver, a people pleaser. At some point, I was just all about just trying to make people happy and helping others, right? But what was happening was I was putting out a lot, but I wasn't getting anything back in return. And one of the things she was saying was like, people, and I had to learn the hard way, people don't respect free.
Yeah.
If Jordan say these shoes is $1,200, and they go and spend $1,200 on them shoes, and they buy a case for them shoes, you know, that's because they see the value in it.
Yeah.
And so you have to establish the value either in hustle mode, or you just lowballing yourself to the point where you're trying to meet the needs. No, if this is your price, stick to your price, because that might not be your person. For me, myself, my goal is to make $10,000 a month. I'm not going to make that off of a client who's only paying $100.
Yes. So you have to know, and don't shift. I have people who come all the time and they're like, "Ooh, $20 for olive oil," and I'm like, but they tasted it, they know it's good, and they're like, "I don't know that I can do that." And I said, you know what? Thank you for the compliment of tasting it and knowing that it's a good product. But if it's not for you, I completely understand. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot. I'm like, the cost of olive oil, the product itself, I can't do it. I said, but thank you for considering me. And there is another olive oil person, not the same, down the street.
The cheapest olive oil, and I'm an olive oil person, the cheapest olive oil that you can get off the shelf, I want to say is about $5.99, and that's a little bottle like that, right? If you use olive oil, like really use it,
Yes.
you have to get a big bottle. And that, but nevertheless, that's
Okay.
the really good, the one that's on the shelf in the stores. So I don't
Yes.
understand why people would want you reduce your price, for,
I Susie Sue, who has come out to the farmers market and who's bringing her wares and who has done the hard work um, to put love in the bottle. Her product is less because you don't go to Kroger's and bargain, but you
yeah.
think that you're supposed to go to farmers market and start bargaining and tell people that you want to pay less. I think it's because you don't value it, and that's okay if you don't value it.
Somebody
That's
else
fine.
does.
I don't even care. I value it.
Right. Right.
So I'm not going lower on my price. I was in Chattanooga, and I don't even know how it happened. This woman started sharing with me, and she was just tired. She was a mom. She was exhausted. She was pregnant with her second child. She was exhausted by her first. And for some reason, she just felt open enough to just break down and start crying. So I'm here in the middle of the market. My husband's, holding it down. I'm holding her. We're crying together. I'm telling her, okay, I understand that you're exhausted. Then I
Here,
was like, you
baby,
know
here's some
what?
oil.
I said, this is not, I've never given away anything. But I felt in that moment, I said, if you just go home, boil some pasta, and drizzle this on top. Just have a moment where it's not a lot of things you have to do. And that's it. And I said, let me give this moment to you. And she was like, no, let me pay for it. I was like, no, I don't ever give it away. I said, but I feel like in this moment, I need to give it away because people are struggling. Sometimes that will happen, but that doesn't happen all the time for me because
Yeah. The
I'm in
spirit just
space.
moved you.
I'm in spaces most times where people can afford it.
Right. But sometimes the spirit move you, and sometimes you do want to genuinely just help. But you can't do that too
Absolutely.
much because people will take advantage of you.
No, and you have to be led in those moments because I think we're under the impression that God's always telling you to give stuff away. No, He's
No.
giving you a gifting so it can
To
make
make
room
money off of.
to make room for you. It says, I've given you
Yeah.
the giftings and talents to make room for you, not for you to give it away. And
Right.
so we think that that's supposed to be the godly thing, but I knew in that moment that's what I was supposed to do. But that doesn't happen too often. But I honor it when it does happen.
So, how has networking, mentorship, or relationships impacted your journey?
I have so many people that have left their fingerprints on my business, whether by words of encouragement or suggestions or reviews or setting up the website, this conversation we're having right now, whether by just purchasing the product, giving it away as a gift. There are many people that I meet that received it as a gift and they've been looking for me for like 2-3 years. Because they didn't know where the person that gave it to them came. They didn't know where the person, they thought they was in the grocery store, and I wasn't in the grocery store. And so all these people I have friends who help me with the festivals when it's a big festivals. I have people who I've mentored, who've mentored me, and all those things are important. I value every single moment. I think God brings the people that you need in the moment that you need them. Start with you, aren't there 2 years later, and it's not because I don't think I've ever fallen out with somebody. I think it's just that life happens and it just pulls us in different directions, and that's fine. I honor the time that they were with me. I remember it was Michelle Obama once. She was like, they asked her if most of her friends are the same people that she brought to the White House, and she said something to the effect of, they couldn't come with me because they ran out of oxygen. So sometimes where you're going, you can't take everybody. Maybe they're not completely for you, whatever the case is, but for the moment that they are with you, you honor that and you treat those people right. So I appreciate every single person. You have to, I don't even care if they're the ones that did you wrong. You leave everywhere very well. And you leave it better, yes. You make sure you bring your level of excellence and you leave it better than you build for other people. I think that's why the Lord was so gracious to have people build for me, because, somebody gave me my name. The Lord there's so many things about this business that I really didn't pay for. Somebody just gave it to me. But that's because that's the culture of what I've already done for other people, right? So
Right.
it just naturally flowed for me. So you be the blessing that you want to receive. You be the blessing you want to receive. You leave the way you would want someone to leave you if they were transitioning and going to another business, or they were going in a different direction. You do those things because it really is very important. It sets the base of everything in your business.
What legacy do you hope to leave through your work, and how do you want people to remember you?
Okay, so when I started, I was in a farmer's market in Halcyon, right? I remember, I'm bringing up the story for a reason. There's a lady I met there. Her name's Sammy, and she did salad dressings. And I was across from her. We gravitate towards our own, so they're not a lot of black businesses that are in farmers markets. It's a predominantly white space for the most part. So she was across from me, and she was loud, and I was like, she's not my cup of tea. I'm a quiet person. She's not my cup of tea. And she was loud. She was calling people to her booth, and I was telling my husband later, I was like, she was just so abrasive. I don't know. Eventually, I got to know her. She became a close friend of mine. She was a hustler, so she motivated me, taught me the loopholes or the cracks in my business that I didn't realize were there. So she was one of the mentors, or we were learning this thing together because we were both new business owners. And she passed away from cancer.
Oh man.
And at her funeral, they gave away she had tons of people that came, people who had bought product, people who she was in relationship with. Her husband gave away the rest of her products for free. And I thought to myself, I said, you know what, Isin? You're building, you've put your name on this is your product, it's solid. However, this is not your legacy. This is, if anything should happen to me today, maybe he'll sell the last batch. He doesn't know how to make it. So that's not my product is not my legacy. Who I am is my legacy. Who I am to people, what I was able to do in regards to bringing people to either love cooking, going on a journey, have created moments where, you guys are so happy with food, you're all dinner table moments, being able to do that. Being the person who appreciates the people who have helped my business, I've been a blessing to other people. That's going to be my legacy. How I treat other people, how I loved what I was doing. That's going to be the only thing that stands. Everything else, products, whatever the case is, none of that. At the end of the day, they may give that stuff away. But I don't have any kids. I know you have children. Your children are your legacy. The things that are intangible, that's what we gravitate towards. And that's what people don't take time to actually build. Build that with integrity. Love the people around you. Life is short. Life is short. Yeah. And so it's really important that you make the main thing the main thing. And so for me, the main thing is people. It's not the dollar bill. I mean, we get paid, but that's not the main thing. People are the main thing for me. So that would be my legacy.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
If you could leave our audience with one powerful message that could change the way they think or live, what would it be?
Take a step in the direction that you want to go. David is talking to Solomon. He's about to die, and he's aware of it, and he's talking to Solomon, and he says to him, and this is a very rough translation, he says, in your doing, follow God. Sometimes we think we have to hear his voice first, and then we start moving. You can't stir a car that's just stagnant and not doing anything. I'm just gonna wait until the Lord showed me no. Make yourself available, move around, make a step. Design your bottle, design what you want to happen, make those tiny steps in the direction that you want to go, because eventually you're going to get to where you need to be, and it's going to be a beautiful thing.
This is Shanita T with Network by Net Worth by Shanita T, and I am here with Chef Isin Manning.
Yes.
Chef Isin Manning. Tell us, how can we get in contact with you or order your product?
You can find me, first of all, on, if you go into the website, it's Chef Isin, that's ChefIsin.com. And you can either place an order there. I do cooking classes, but I only really do those on the off season. That's the first 3 months of the year. If you just need to pick my brain, to be honest, I have journeyed with my friends in this. I will open the door as wide as I can. I can't tell you, my fellow vendor friends or business owners will tell you, if I know something, I'm going to give it away. I'm not going to gatekeep. I'm not a gatekeeper. So if you want to hear from me, or you need help in regards to how do I get a food sales license, or what are the beginning steps I actually need to do, I'm willing to have that conversation with you. Go ahead and contact me through the website. And that's it. I'm also on IG. That's not my natural gifting, but I will respond to a message now. So you can go ahead and DM me on IG. I'm herbed.chef, and you can find me on IG, and then just contact me through there. Whatever questions you have, willing to answer. Whether you just want to try the product and place an order, we'll ship that to you as soon as possible. Actually, the very same day. We'll get that to you so you can experience it. But I'm here. I'm here for questions, and I'm here to get you where you need to be.
Man, this has been an amazing interview. I definitely learned a lot. I'm sure the audience has learned a lot. I appreciate you so much for hopping on and just sharing with us.
I want to give you your accolades, because you are doing this to help your community. And so I appreciate this podcast. I appreciate your vision. I hope for sure that from this, it births many businesses that have integrity, that have staying power, that have customer service, and that way we can change the narrative. We can bring back Black Wall Street. We can bring back generational wealth and pride in the giftings that God has given to our people. And so I thank you for your part. I thank you for this conversation. And yeah, thank you for having me, sis.
I appreciate you so much.